What is up, guys? Welcome on back to TK's Garage. And we know that between Congress's review or them putting into this big, beautiful bill, which will have, government funding, military funding, the debt ceiling, all of that stuff that's currently pending in Congress, that part of that has the repeal for the Clean Air Act that the EPA recently submitted, which had those waivers. They've put that in there. But there are other options that basically go to pull this away. So there's the Stop Carb Act, which really only goes after the California side of emissions and them being able to set their own. And then there's just repealing the Clean Air Act and provisions that are in it directly. And we're going to talk about that today, as it's an actual bill. You can go to Congress and read it. But without further ado, roll that intro. So, there's an act, and I'll throw it up here on the screen for you. It's to repeal Section 134 of the Clean Air Act, be it enacted by the Senate and House of the Representatives of the United States of America, Congress assembled. Basically, the act may be cited as the Cutting Green Corruption and Taxes Act. Part of what this will also do would also repeal or basically pull away the ability to get the EV tax credit. The $7,500 would also go with this as well. Section 2, repeal of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. Repeal Section 134 of the Clean Air Act, 42 U.S.C. 7434, relating to the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund is repealed. Section B, rescission, the unobligated, unobligated, Jesus, I can't read today, the unobligated balance of any amounts made available under Section 134 of the Clean Air Act as in effect on the day before the date enactment of this act is rescinded. Conforming amendment, Section 6013 of Public Law 117 through 169 relating to greenhouse gas reduction is repealed. If you want to read the full act, it is available on Congress. You can go to congress.gov and read it. Now, what does it mean? Well, between the Stop Carb Act, this, and now the EPA saying, hey, look, we don't have authority to enforce the Clean Air Act, so there's no enforcement method for this, and we're not going to allow these waivers to California, but because we have no enforcement method, we're sending this to Congress. Congress has now put this together into a bill. So there's 3 bills that are on the floor that will get decided and will be sent to the Senate for then the Senate to approve. It's going to be much easier if any one of these bills gets out of Congress. The Senate's going to approve it. It's going to be on the president's desk. It will get signed. It's really just a waiting game at this point. It is a clock ticking to when the Clean Air Act and the provisions thereof, the people who are worried about, when can I delete the emissions on my truck, or when can you could do that yourself now. I've said this multiple times, nobody's coming to kick the door down at your house over emissions equipment on your vehicle. All right. Now, whether or not you're going to pass smog in your state is a different issue in entirely different issue. But I think it's interesting as we're seeing more and more of these bills. And this bill specifically was proposed back in 2023 and is just now being reintroduced now. in a Congress where they can actually pass it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, but to see the bill and to see them really pushing for repeal. And in this case, it doesn't repeal the entire Clean Air Act, just a part that has to do with greenhouse gases and emissions, meaning, there would still be provisions of the Clean Air Act available, but this provision wouldn't matter what your vehicle is as far as emissions go, and there would be no money being given to states and different authorities for them to enforce it, and they would pull, BS things behind, like the $7,500 tax credit on electric vehicles. So I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about all of these bills being presented in Congress, and which one do you think gets passed first? Do you think the waiver issue or repealing the entire Clean Air Act goes through in that big, beautiful bill that they're calling it? Or do you think it's one of these other bills like the Stop Carb Act or the repealing of Section 134 of the Clean Air Act? Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give this video a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.